Let's get started. So hi, everyone. My name is Daniela Pirraglia. I'm an associate registrar here at Innis College. My portfolio is financial aid, and so I help students navigate their finances, whether that means helping you create a budget or apply for grants or even help with applying for student loans or issues that come up with provincial student loans. I also manage all of our awards here at Innis. So we have a bunch of course awards for academic merit. We have awards based on leadership, and we have a few, I call them special awards that require some sort of special application. So that's my portfolio. I also manage the front office and I do a little bit of academic advising. And today I'm here to talk about commerce specifically and how to help you in the process in selecting your commerce courses. Now, I will say there are lots of resources offered by the Commerce Department specifically, and we are going to touch on that, and links to all of those resources will be within this presentation. Okay, so this is the agenda. We'll touch on the required courses, talk about how to choose electives, the Commerce Guarantee, and then we are going to spend a little bit of time in the actual timetable builder so you can see how that works. Enrolling in your courses, and then finally, like I mentioned, the resources that are available for you while you're here. So about Rotman Commerce specifically, it is a partnership between the Faculty of Arts and Science and the Rotman School of Management. So you basically belong to both areas. If you are admitted to the commerce stream, as all of you have been, then you are guaranteed a spot in one of their specialist programs as long as you meet the minimum grades in first year, which we will talk about what those are. And then once you're in the commerce program, you have near exclusive access to your Rotman Commerce courses. So those are courses that begin in either RSM or MGT. But then you also have the benefit of having all the other options that are available to you within the Faculty of Arts and Science. As my colleagues have already mentioned, there are thousands of courses and hundreds of programs. And so if you want to diversify your degree and explore other areas, that is definitely something that is available to you. So these are the three program streams within commerce. So as Denise mentioned, you don't actually pick a program until after year one. And so once you complete 4.0 FCEs, hopefully by the end of April 2024, then you can select a program. Each specialist varies in terms of the balance of business management and elective courses required. Many students, particularly in the management specialists, choose to complete an arts and science minor. And one thing to know about the specialists in management is if you do pick that one, then you automatically satisfy all the requirements for an economics minor. So that's something that you could add to your degree. And students in the accounting specialists, they would have to add an extra half credit in economics at the third year or higher if they wanted to complete an economics minor. I believe the specialists in finance and economics, you can do the same, except it's an extra fourth year economics course, but there's so much overlap between the two that maybe it feels like counterproductive to add the minor if you're already the specialist in finance and economics. And then commerce also offers several focuses, so that's the box on the far right, and so all of those focuses that you see there are available to management students. And then in the green box at the bottom, students in all of three specialist programs could also choose a focus in the data science business and managing in diverse economies. Yes, question.
So what's the difference between a focus in finance and a specialist in finance? How does that tie in?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the specialist in finance, well, so sorry, I'm going to repeat the question for the people who are online. So the question was, what is the difference between a specialist and a focus in finance? Yeah. So a specialist is going to go way, way deeper than a focus. So the focus is going to be, I don't remember exactly how many courses it is, but it's like a very small number of courses that you have to complete to get the focus. The focus is optional, right? And so for the finance focus specifically, it's only available to students within the management program. It's something that they can add if they want to specialize a little bit in that area. We're going to talk a little bit in the future slides about kind of what the differences are between, or some of the basic differences between these programs and the things that you can do in first year that will help you decide what specialist you want to request after first year. So I'm not gonna spend too long on this because Denise, had a whole presentation about degree requirements, but just to summarize the degree requirements for the BCom specifically. So you do need 20 credits, of which at least 10 have to be offered by the Faculty of Arts and Science. So what that means is, there's lots of opportunities available to you, as we've mentioned. Say you want to go on exchange, say you want to take maybe some courses on another campus at UTSC or UTM, or you want to go abroad. Those are all options that are available to you, but at least 10.0 credits have to be offered by the Faculty of Arts and Science on the St. George campus. So you need a minimum of 13 at the second year level or above, of which at least 6 full credits have to be at the 300 level or above, and at least 1 of those have to be at the 4th year level. So all specialist programs across the whole faculty require a certain number of courses at the 400 level. Whereas if, say, you were doing a major in a different area, you don't necessarily need to do a 400 level course. It depends on the program. It's a minimum split of at least 8 Rotman Commerce courses and 8 arts and science courses. So basically you can't just do your whole entire degree filled with Rotman Commerce courses. You do need to take a balance of commerce and arts and science courses. The programs, you have to be in one of the 3 specialists, which we already talked about. Breadth requirements apply, which Denise touched on. And finally, in order to graduate with this degree, your CGPA at the end of your, end of your 4 years or however long it takes you to complete needs to be at a 1.85 or higher. Any questions about that? So these are the required first year courses that you need to take. So there's RSM 100, Echo 101 and 102, and Math 133 or its equivalents. We're going to talk about each of these courses. So RSM 100 is the basic intro to management class. It's an introduction to management and its subdisciplines. You're going to talk about business in a Canadian context, corporations, corporate governance, organizational behavior. It's going to give you the foundations that you need in order to take future RSM courses. For this particular course, you need to get at least a 67 or higher in order to meet your guarantee. Next, we have Echo 101 and 102. So these is principles of micro and macroeconomics. It's an introduction to economic analysis and its applications from both micro and a macro perspective. So the minimum mark for these courses is at least a 63 in each of these courses. So it's not an average, it's within each course you need to get a 63 or higher. And an important thing to note is Echo 101 is a prerequisite for Echo 102. So let's just say in the fall term, if you don't pass Echo 101, then you would need to repeat that before you could then go on to do Echo 102. Yep, question?
If I took AP for high school, can I do Echo 102 from the first half of the year?
Okay, so the question is, if he took AP Echo in high school, can he take, skip to Echo 102? That's what you're asking?
Not skipping. I mean, I know I still need to take the course, but
Yeah.
can I take it as a fall section?
I would not recommend doing that. So Denise would be the best person to talk to about because she's more familiar with transfer credits and the IB and AP and all that, but I would not recommend doing that. I would take 101 and then I would take 102. I would take them in sequence. And then finally, the last required course is your math course. So it is a full year course. The course that is made specifically for you guys in the commerce program is Math 133 Y1. It is mathematics of finance. You can see here a review of differential calculus, etc. If you take this particular math course, you need a mark of at least 63 or higher. And it is the foundation that you need for many of the 200 level ECHO courses that are part of your degree that you will need to take in second year. There are some alternate math courses that you could take, and I want to talk about why you may want to take a different math. So let's say you are interested in taking upper year math or computer science courses, then the suggestion would be probably to take Math 137 instead. As you can see here, it's actually, it is a more challenging course. So these courses go increase in difficulty, the higher the number is. So Math 133 is going to be quote unquote the easiest. Math 135 and 136 is going to be more challenging. 137 and 137 are going to be the most challenging courses. And so why you may want to take a different course, it depends on if you're interested in pursuing a program that requires that as a prerequisite. Maybe you're interested in taking a computer science minor or something. And so something to keep in mind now is that even though you all are, trying to get into commerce and meet the guarantee, I can urge you to consider, are there other programs that you think you might want? Is there a minor that you're thinking, oh, I might be interested in that? Because it's important that you look at that program requirements now to see, do I need to take a different math class other than math 133? If you're like, no, not for me, I want to take the easiest math, whatever, then I recommend you just stick with the math 133.
I have a question
Yeah.
online.
Sure.
Does Math 133 coursework, the sentence doesn't make sense, if we want to pursue a focus in data science in business later? So
So the question is, can Math 133 work if they want to add a focus in data science? I assume maybe the focus.
Yes.
The specialist program. I would have to look at the calendar to double check, but I would guess that it should be fine. I think it would be odd if it wasn't fine, but for a question like that, person online, you can always email us at the registrar.innis email address, and we can double check for you. But I'm pretty certain that the Math 133 would be fine for that.
Okay.
Is it manageable, to add another minor? Is it manageable if it's completely separate and does not have a lot of overlap? 'Cause
Yeah.
an econ minor has a lot of similar.
Yes. That's a really good question. So the question of the people online is it manageable to add a minor, let's say outside of economics, right? Where there's already going to be a whole bunch of overlap. I think it really depends on what the course is, right? So, if there's something that requires economics and some math, maybe you're interested in industrial relations, the program that Denise mentioned earlier, I don't actually know off the top of my head if that has a minor, but if there's some course that requires the echo, right, or program that requires economics, then that might be more feasible. You don't have to be done in 4 years. If there's a program that you're like, I'm super passionate about that, and you want to do a couple extra courses to make that work, you can do that. But I would say it really depends on what program. Commerce programs, and there are students who take other minors outside of commerce completely. I would say, look at the programs now, right? Keep as many doors available to you as possible, and then you can always make a different decision down the line. And if you're ever not sure what to do, then, we, as academic advisors, we have lots of experience with this. You can come and talk to us. We can help you, figure out what's your best course of action. So in terms of the actual guarantees, you have to meet all these requirements within 1 calendar year. And so that means starting from September 2023 to August 2024, within that period, you have to meet your requirements. The requirements are the courses that I already mentioned with the minimum marks. And the only other requirement is that you have to complete a minimum of 4.0 FCEs. Once you complete 4.0 FCEs, you're considered a second year student. And so these are the things that you need to do within your first year in order to meet the guarantee and be able to join one of these programs in your second year. So something to note is if you fail to meet any of these requirements, you will lose your guaranteed admission status. Let's just say, hopefully this doesn't happen to anyone, but let's just say you do Echo 101 in the fall and you pass, but you don't get the required mark. Let's just say you get a 60 and you need a 63. Then what you can do is you can take Echo 101 in the second term. You would take it as an extra course. It's something that, depending on timing, you may be able to add, or you might need to ask us to add it for you. An extra course means it doesn't count for degree credit, so it won't count towards your 20 credits needed to graduate, but you are allowed to pass a course that you are allowed to, let me start this again. You are allowed to retake a course that you've already passed once for the purposes of getting into a program. So just 1 second. So you could retake it, and then if it is to get into a program, what the faculty will do is they will count the higher mark within your CGPA. So let's say you take it again, you get a 70, then the 70, both marks are still on your transcript, but the lower mark is the one that counts as extra, and the higher mark is the one that's going to count towards your CGPA. Sorry, yeah, question.
Is CGPA divides by the amount of attempts you've tried?
Yes.
So does that mean, let's say I got 4, it becomes a 2 if I try it twice?
Well, it depends what you got in the first. So the question is your CGPA divided by the number of credits you attempt? And my answer is yes, it does. And it depends, the average will depend on what mark you got, right? So if you got a 0, let's just say, or under a 50, like a 49 or under is a 0. And then let's say you take it again, it's 100. I mean, the lower one would be marked extra, right? So that wouldn't count at all, but it would still be on your transcript. And then the higher mark would be the one that counts towards your CGPA. Wouldn't be halved because the lower mark in this particular instance is not counting towards your CGPA. So it's not counted at all, but it is on your transcript. Yeah. If you have any questions or concerns about meeting your guaranteed admission requirement, or if you have extenuating circumstances that are preventing you from meeting the requirements, then we encourage you to make an appointment with your Rotman Commerce academic advisor to go over what the options are. Any questions about the guarantee? Okay, so now we're going to talk about the recommended first year courses. So they're recommended, so you don't technically need to take them in first year, but Commerce strongly encourages you to enroll in these courses. So it's basically the introductory courses to financial accounting, financial markets, and principles in marketing. These courses are what is going to help you decide what specialist you want to take in year 2. And so if you don't take them in first year for some reason, or say you take 2 and you still have a third to take, the recommendation would be to take it in the summer. You could also take it in your second year. It's just like, it might be a prerequisite for an upper year commerce course that you want to take. And so then you can't take that course until you complete this course. So when you're making your schedule, it's really important that you add all the courses that you need to meet your guarantee. And you also add these 3 courses. And you can take those 3 courses in first term or second term. What I would probably recommend is that you kind of balance them out. So maybe take one of them in first term along with RSM 100, and then maybe take the other 2 in the other term. But Commerce is offering sessions on how to pick courses as well. And it's included in these slides. I believe it's coming up next week on the 28th. It's an online session. And so if you're not sure what to do, then I really encourage you to join that session. So after all of that, you pick your courses that you need to meet your guarantee. You pick the 1.5 FCEs, you meet the recommended courses. That means you've already used up 4 FCEs or 8 courses out of the 5 FCEs or 10 courses that you will probably take over first year. And so that leaves 1.0 to use as an elective. And so sometimes people are like, well, what should I take? I don't know. And so some of the questions we encourage you to think about are, have you ever wanted to study a language? Is there a particular topic that you're super interested in? Are you interested in the sky and you want to take astronomy or something like that? Are there any other programs that you think you might want to pursue? And then you need to take the prereqs for those. You can work on your breadth requirements. I mean, a lot of the courses that you have to take will already come with breadth. So honestly, I probably wouldn't worry too much about breadth in first year. It's something that you can continue to work on all 4 years. We recommend that you prepare a few different options before course enrollment day in case you don't get the ones you plan for. So the way course enrollment day will work is everyone is assigned a specific start time. So just by the luck of the draw, like you could get assigned 9 a.m. or you could get assigned noon, right? And so if you get assigned noon, then obviously a whole bunch of students have been able to pick courses before you. For the ones that are specifically for commerce, there's no problem there. There's all the space for all of you and all the courses that you need. But for an elective, it could certainly fill up and then you're gonna have to pick something different. So I recommend having a few different options ready, and that way you're not like scrambling in the moment trying to like find a course that you think you might be interested in. And then the last thing I want to mention is U of T does have a feature called Credit No Credit within the Faculty of Arts and Science. And that's a way where you could, take a course that maybe is outside of your comfort zone and add a credit no credit. What that means is as long as you pass the course, you get a 50 or higher, you will earn the credit on your transcript. It will just say CR and you earn the credit. There's no calculation within your CGPA because there's no mark attached. And if you were to get a mark of 49 or lower, then all that will be on your transcript is NCR and you didn't earn the credit. You can credit no credit up to 2.0 courses, but you cannot use them for your program requirements. You can only use them for your electives. And I will say there are a handful of courses where they don't actually allow you to do credit no credit. So for example, Spanish 100, it says in the course description, and I can show you this later, this course is not eligible for credit no credit. Credit or credit is something that you can add up until the last day of classes. So it's not something that you have to decide right away. You can give yourself time and you can always add that feature down the line. Once you're in the course and you see like how it's going and you get some marks back, etc. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the special first year opportunities. So you've already kind of gotten this feel from Donald and a little bit from Denise about all the various options. That was a really good question. I don't know if that person is in this room, the one who asked what's the difference between the seminars and the ones. I asked myself that question. I asked my colleagues that question frequently. I mean, the main thing is that they're both small size classes. So they're capped at around 25 students. And they're meant to be opportunities for you to have close interaction with the faculty who's teaching the course and with your peers. The seminars are hosted by departments and there's also some college involvement as well. And then the ones are specifically tied to the college. What I would recommend is you look at both of these options because these are options that are only available to you in first year. You can't take them in upper years because they're restricted to first year students. They generally don't count towards program admission. So that's just something to be aware of. They're really meant to be these electives. Like for the first year foundations one program, it typically includes some sort of co-curricular event or experiential learning. So they're all going to be a little bit different. What I would recommend is just look at what's offered and then what is there a course in there that's of interest to you. The other thing I want to talk about is FLIC, First Year Learning Community. So all commerce students are automatically enrolled in FLIC. It will appear on your timetable as RSM 099Y1. So it's not technically a course. It's not for credits. It's a co-curricular program and there's no homework, there's no pressure. It helps you build skills, make connections. And if you do complete it, you will receive a notation on your record that you completed it. Yeah, question in the back.
So do we have to build a schedule around the FLC or like, is it going to be added up?
So that the question is, do you have to build your schedule around the FLIC or will it be added after? I believe that's a good question. I don't know when Commerce is the department that actually adds them. I want to say they probably add it after the fact, but after the presentation, I can Google and see if I can find like, is it publicly available? If it's what time it'll be, or you could ask Commerce directly because they'll be able to tell you what time it is. I think in the past it has been like at a set time, like Wednesday afternoons or something. And so obviously it would be helpful to know that in advance. And that way you're not, conflicted out of being able to attend that. I think the first year learning community is a great way to build community. I think some students are like, oh, it's not for me. I don't want to do that. I think one real big pro for this particular program is say you're not in res, right? If you're in res, you have this great opportunity to meet friends, that you're living with people, everyone's in the same boat. I think it's a little bit easier to make those connections in res. Let's say you're not and you're commuting. So you're spending an hour or maybe more on transit, you're coming to Toronto, maybe you're not even coming every day. The first year learning community is going to be an excellent way to meet other students in your program in a lower pressure situation, hopefully a little leg up to make friends in that way. And so that would be one reason why I would really encourage you to stick with the FLIC, because it's just a way to like connect with other people. Sometimes I see students who have been here 1 year, 2 years, and they say, I don't have any friends and I don't want anybody to be in that situation, right? Even having like 1 or 2 close friends while you're here can make a world of difference. And so there are lots of ways that you can build that community here, but this is one easier way, right? Where it's like pretty low effort on your point, just go to your FLIC and talk to the person beside you. So specifically for the first year foundation seminars at Innis, we have 13 courses available. They're taught by professors who are passionate about the course. Again, small cap sizes, 25 students max. For these particular courses, priority enrollment is given to you, first year Innis students. So you will be able to add these courses before anybody else does. You'll be able to connect with other students at Innis. So this might be a nice way, you're in commerce, but you want to meet other students who are at Innis who maybe aren't in commerce. So this would be a great way to do that. You'll get the opportunity to meet our learning strategist, Megan, and our librarian. And there's also this, my colleague, Janny, made this like little Instagram. So I just want to click. So this is the page that has all the information about the seminars. And if you click here, these are the actual courses that are available. And so, yeah, just like take a look, right? again, so many options. And maybe there's something here that, you know, I don't know, you're passionate about the environment and writing, great, like, easy. Take something like that.
You really scroll through all.
Sure. Just gonna scroll, yeah.
An online question, if you're in the ONES program, do we automatically get enrolled in ONES courses?
No.
No?
I don't think so. I think they need to add their own core. Well, it's so, sorry, it depends. So there are, the ONES programs are all affiliated with a specific college. And so for the Innis One program, you just add the course yourself in Timetable Builder and then add it in Acorn. But there are ONES programs at other colleges that require an application. That application date has already passed, but if the student did apply to that one program at another college that required an application and they got in, I'm not sure if they automatically add those courses for them or if they need to do it. Again, that would be a question, I would say email us at registrar.innis and we can look into that.
Okay.
Like this, would this sound interesting? Like, anyways, obviously it's personal preference. But that's what's available this year. So this is just a bit of housekeeping about how the enrolling in a program works. So beginning in March 2024, assuming that you completed at least 4.0 FCEs, you can apply to your program of choice on Acorn on the programs page. After you've completed your guarantee requirements, you will be invited. So assuming everything goes well in first year and you get all the required marks and you hit 4.0 FCEs, you'll be invited to the program that you chose. So when you see on Acorn, there's different statuses. So requested means that your program request is still being processed. You need to check back. There are certain deadlines where this is the period you have to make the request. And then this is the period where the department is supposed to get back to you. So I don't know what the deadlines are for next year. They haven't probably been set yet, but normally sometime in June, you'll get your response. If you've been invited to the program, that means you've been offered a spot. You still have to accept it. So you have to go into Acorn and click, yes, accept this offer. And that could be true if you're applying for other programs as well. And if you've been refused, that means you've been denied admission. So our recommendation would be to contact a Robin Commerce advisor to talk about next steps. And if you are interested in exploring other programs, assuming that you can't get into commerce, you can also connect with us and we can help you navigate that. So that's it for the guarantee. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the timetable. If anybody has any questions about the guarantee or courses? Yeah.
Are there limited specialists or is it dependent on the requirement?
So the question is, are there limited spots in the commerce specialist or anyone can add them? I think there's unlimited spots. Like it's not like each one has its own specific requirements. You can pick which one that you want. Yeah. Okay, so this is a breakdown of how to read a course code. Denise this as well, so I won't spend too long on it, but basically this here is the department or the program that's offering the course. So in this case, it's MAT, math, it's pretty self-explanatory. The very first digit after the 3-letter designator is the year of study. So a 1 means first year, 2 second year, etc. This Y right after the number, so this could be an H or a Y, and that's what's telling you the credit weight. So a Y course is a full year course, an H course would be a half year course. This one here is telling you the campus, so probably most of the courses you take will have a 1 there because that means it's the St. George campus. If you were to take a course at UTSC, that would be a 3, UTM is a 5, and 0 is off campus. If you're doing some sort of exchange or study abroad program, it could show as a 0. And then finally, this Y here is the term. So for fall and winter, that would mean F is fall, S is second or winter, and Y means it spans the whole year. So I have an example here, so you can see, so your ECHO course, 101 H1F, it happens in the fall, it starts from September to December. Your ECHO 102 course is January to April, and you know that because it ends in an S, and then your math course is a Y1Y course, and it is the whole year. There are breaks in both terms. So there's a break in the fall term and there's a break in the winter term. In the fall, it's in November, and in the winter, it's in February. You can also take courses over the summer months. The summer courses are generally more intensive. It's like cramming the same amount of material into half the amount of time. So a course that maybe you would only have once a week during a fall term, you're going to have 2 times a week or 3 times a week in the summer. But these are options that are available to you. So these are enrollment controls. You'll find these in the timetable, and within each course, there will be potentially be some sort of enrollment control. Some of them might not have an enrollment control, but a lot of them do. The ones that are going to be most common for you guys are P for priority. So priority just means that a specific group of students, which are outlined within that particular course description in the timetable, have priority access until a certain date. And then after that date passes, the priority lifts and everybody can get into that course. E means that you have to enroll the department. So the department you have to contact them or do something that will be stated in the description to ask to enroll. That one won't be that you won't probably see that at all in first year, most likely. And then the other one that you guys will see a lot of is R1 restricted, because there are specific courses for commerce students that are restricted to you guys, even in first year. And so we can look at what that looks like specifically. And then there are various delivery modes here at the University of Toronto. And so the 2 main clumps in the delivery modes are in-person or online. So in-person is exactly what it sounds like. You're in person. There's could be in-person assessments, there could be a final exam, but everything is in person. You meet at a specific time at a physical location. And then within online, there's 2 different options. So there's synchronous, whereby you have to meet online at a specific time, or there's asynchronous, which means everything is online and there is no required attendance at a specific time. It's basically like there might be tests that are due at a certain time, or there's assignments, but everything else is online. You don't have to attend an actual lecture. And then even within the synchronous versus asynchronous, there could be in-person assessments or no in-person assessments. So it's really important, I would say, if you're picking an online course, that you look at what the course that you're looking at, what the designation is. Is it synchronous? Is it asynchronous? And is there in-person assessment? I think for all your commerce courses, they're all in person. I don't believe there's any online options, maybe for an elective, or maybe next summer you're taking courses and you're going to go home and that home is far away and you want to take an online course. And so maybe this becomes more relevant next summer if that's something that you're interested in. Any questions about delivery mode? Okay, so we're going to spend a few minutes looking at Timetable Builder. So it is available now. Can I just get a show of hands? Has anybody looked at the Timetable Builder? Yeah, okay. How was it? Where you're like, what am I looking at? This is confusing, or was it like pretty straightforward? Okay, well, let's spend a few minutes just clicking through it together. You will be able to check your start time on Acorn on July the 3rd. So July the 3rd, log in and it'll say, this is your start time, assuming that you are, everyone here is in the commerce stream, so you're on year 1. So your start time will be at some point on July the 20th. And as of that, your start time, you can enroll in up to 5 FCEs. So like 5 classes in the fall, 5 classes in the winter. You are able to add an extra credit, but at a later date. So let's look at this. So I spent a little bit of time in my office building a timetable for just the fall term. So that's what I want to do together today. So when you first go to Timetable Builder, it's going to look exactly like this. Because we're in the summer session, it's automatically defaulting to summer. So the first thing you need to do is to change it to fall winter. You can just click that and it automatically picks all the fall and winter options. And then for the faculty, you're going to pick Faculty of Arts and Science. And then now you need to narrow your search. So what I would recommend is just starting with the courses you want to take. So RSM 100, you should pick the one in the first term, because A, there's way more options available in the first term, and B, let's just say for some reason you don't meet the guarantee, then you have the option to take it again in the second term, okay? So it's important that you take one in the first term. So you pick that and then you search. And in this case, because I picked a very specific course, there's only one option here. And so this is the legend that we looked at. So these are, if you're ever like, what does this enrollment control mean? I don't remember. You click there and it'll show you what the legend means. And then if you click here, you can see more information. So this is where it's telling you who's offering the course, what faculty is it in, what is this course actually about? It tells you the prerequisites. A co-requisite is something you have to take at the same time as this course. So this course has no co-requisite. An exclusion means if you've taken either of these courses before, you cannot take this again, but that won't be relevant for you. And then here, this is what I was mentioning earlier. This is telling you that this particular course is going to give you a half credit to Breadth 3. And so obviously course enrollment hasn't started. So everything is available. There are locations here. If you click on the location, a map comes up and it shows you exactly where that course is. So BT is the Isabel Bader Theater. It's right here on this map. Around. So we are right here right now. This is where Innis is. And then here's the enrollment control. So if you click here, you'll be able to see what is R1, okay, restricted. Who's it restricted to? So in this case, it's for everyone in year 1 in the Faculty of Arts and Science and Commerce. So this course is meant for you. And the delivery mode is in person. Yeah, question?
Can you tell us a bit about UFT standard time?
Yeah, so I actually have a slide on that. Yes, so can you hold your question? And
Yes, I will.
Yes, thank you. So there's how many? I think there's 3 options. So you just have to pick one of these 3 options. So I'm just gonna add the first one, and you can actually work with the timetable open beside you so that you can see where it has been added to your timetable. And if you scroll down, you'll see winter is right below. You'll see here this option to add the course to your plan. And so the timetable builder is pretty new. This is like the 2nd year in its existence. And the university is trying to, offer this feature to students where you can add a whole bunch of courses and then get the system to build your timetable. Do not do that. Do not use that feature. It is not smart enough yet. It will potentially put you in courses that that are not meant for you, right? Because you guys want to make sure that you're in the RSM courses, are the ones that are restricted to commerce. And the timetable isn't asking you any questions. It hasn't asked you, I'm a commerce student, so put me in the commerce stuff. It's not smart enough. So just don't use it. Just build your own timetable. Don't use the generate timetable option. Yeah, question in the back.
So you know how those are the 3 options you said we just have to choose one. Is the difference between the options just like the location and the time?
Yeah, so it's location, time. So this one's Tuesdays at 11. It's 2 hours, and this location, the Isabel Bader Theater. This one is Wednesdays from 1 to 3. I don't know what building this is, but a different building. And then Wednesdays from 3 to 5. And so, you could add multiple options as you build your timetable, right? Because if you're like, oh, I don't know, like, oh no, that doesn't let you do that. Never mind. You can only have one, I guess. So it's up to you. Like, you could pick which one you want. And they could also be different professors. Sometimes the same professor might teach all of them, but sometimes they could be potentially different professors, but unfortunately, the professor information isn't in there yet. I'm not sure when it will be. It may not be there before you have to make your decision. Yeah. And then if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see this is the end. If there were tutorials here, they would be down here. Okay, so in this case, there are no tutorials. So that's it. We picked this course, and then we can move on to the next thing. So if we want to add ECHO 101, you want to add this in the fall term, right? Because you need this course in order to take ECHO 102. And so you'll see here, this is the course. There's a whole bunch of timetable instructions that I'm going to skim over for now. We're going to come back to it. Again, more course information. So this is what's telling you about the course. There's no prereq, there's no co-req. Recommended prep is calculus and advanced functions. This is also a breadth requirement 3. So this is why I'm saying don't pay too much attention to your breadth requirements in year 1, because you're going to be completing a bunch of them automatically. And I wouldn't want you to add breadth requirement 3 in another area just for the sake of completing the breadth requirement, because you're already going to be completing it, right? I mean, if you want to take that course, then fine, but don't take it just for the sake of completing a requirement. You kind of want to get a sense of like, well, what do I have to take that's already going to meet these breadth requirements throughout my degree? And so here, these are all the different, so there's a whole bunch of ECHO courses. So there's obviously lots of programs that have economics built into them. And so here, this one, let's see the explanation and what this priority is. And in this case, this particular course is saying no students in commerce. So this one is not for you. This one, this first one is for commerce, right? All students in year one in commerce. So you could add this one. You have to unfortunately go through and click all of them to see which ones you are eligible for, to then narrow down a time. So any of the ones with R1, just click. So this one is for restricted students in engineering. You don't want that one. I believe there's at least one or two options available. So you just have to click and see which one do you want to do that is meant for you. You don't have to do, like, you should take the one for commerce students, because then you're going to be with your peers who are all taking commerce together. So I'm just going to add this one. It's right here. And then we scroll down, and here there are tutorials. So you do also need to add a tutorial to your schedule. The whole thing at the big check-in text at the beginning that I said I'm going to come back to. So now you can see it's specifically telling you if you're in this lecture section, you need to pick from these tutorials. And so I picked lecture 0101. So lecture 0101, you need to pick from one of these specific tutorial numbers. So again, you got to go back down and be like, okay, I had to pick, I think 0101 is one of them. I'm going to add it. It works in my timetable. So cool, I'm going to do that. Question? Yeah, Jessica. So the question is, what are tutorials? Tutorials, so a course like economics, like, let's see how many students are in this course. It's almost 500 people, right? So it's a big class. And so the tutorial is the opportunity for you to meet with a much smaller group of people. There will be a TA for the tutorial. So it won't be your professor, but it'll be someone who's been hired to like be the tutorial assistant. And the tutorial is an opportunity to do more of like the hands-on learning that you're not necessarily going to do in a big lecture. Sometimes tutorials are mandatory. Sometimes there's participation marks attached to tutorial. There could be, I don't know if there's generally, there could be assessments happening in your tutorial. So I think, you know, if there's a tutorial, especially if it's mandatory, you should go to your tutorial. Some students might think like, oh, I'm going to skip it. I don't need to do it. But it's a great place to just learn more about the course, have a more intimate experience. You can see here, like this has only 55 students in it versus the almost 500 that are in the lecture. So if you scroll down and you see that there's tutorials, then you need to add that as well. Yeah, question?
What's the color represent?
So the color, so what does the color represent? So once you add it into your timetable, so this color, what is this, like a teal, is a lecture, and this kind of like bluey purple is a tutorial. So anything that you see in this color is a lecture, and anything you see in this color is a tutorial. And if you had a practical, like let's say you were taking a science course and you have to take a practical or a lab, that is also a different color. So let's just look at the math. So let's say you've decided to take Math 133 for commerce. And so here you can find that course. All of these courses should be for you guys. You can double check the priority. So here you can see priority enrollment is given to students in commerce up until July the 26th. So from the 20th to the 26th, only commerce students or social science students or upper year transfer students can add that course. And you can click and you can see like what the various, they're probably all similar. There might be one that's like restricted to someone else, but looks like it's all. Yeah, so like this one, for example, its priority is given to everyone. So basically there is no priority, right? Because everyone can take this course. So I am going to add, and you can see here, so there's no conflict. Let's say you added a course that had a conflict, it'll show up red. Do not enroll in conflicted courses. Acorn is not smart enough to stop you. So if you decide or you make a mistake and you enroll in 2 courses at the same time, the system is not going to stop you. And sometimes we have students who do this intentionally for whatever reason. The risk of doing this is you can't be in 2 places at once, right? We don't have like a Hermione time change thing where you could, go back in time and take that course again, or go to that lecture. The other thing that's really tricky is if you have an assessment at the same time in both courses, because you put yourself in a conflict, neither professor has to give you consideration. So you could miss an assessment for one of those because you will have to choose, I'm gonna go to this assessment or I'm gonna go to this assessment. And like, there are instances as a registrar's office where like, if a professor's being difficult about something, we can help you, but this is one instance where we can't help you because this is the choice that you've made. So our blanket recommendation is don't put yourself in it. The other way that you could search for courses, let's say you want to look in like a specific department to see, well, what's available in psychology. You could also search by department. And so then you'll see like a whole bunch of courses will come up that are related to psychology. And so maybe you're thinking of doing a psychology minor or something, and then you could add, add another course that way. I think that's all the time I want to spend on the timetable builder. Does anyone have any questions about the builder specifically? If anything ever comes up as you're building your timetable, then, again, we can help you with that. So these are the various steps with dates attached. So like I said before, July 3rd, you check your time. July 20th, you can enroll in your courses. July 28th, that's when priority drops. So any course that has a P priority, it will lift. And so let's say there's a, computer science course that you wanted to take and you weren't in that priority group, then this is the date where you can add that course. You can also add an extra 1.0 FCEs on this date. What some students do is they enroll in 6.0 courses, right? So 6 in the fall and 6 in the winter. You're going to pay the same amount of money, which we'll talk about in a couple of slides, just about the money thing in general. And then they go to classes and they see, okay, what do I like here? Let me see the syllabus. What's involved with this course? And then they make a decision early on. I'm going to drop that course and I'm going to take these 5. Just a suggestion, something to consider. If you do decide to go this route, then I really recommend that you just do 5. Sometimes students want to do 6. I think for first year, like there's going to be so many changes coming at you. It's, going to be an adjustment, especially if you're living away from home the first time. So I recommend just doing 5, but just letting you know, like you could enroll if you're like between these 2 electives and you're like, I don't know. Sometimes you can find course syllabi online. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't get the syllabus until the course has begun and you're enrolled in the course of work is. So just know that this is something that you could do. And the main thing is just make sure you drop the course early on. The last thing you want to do is spend, 2 months in 6 courses thinking I can do this, and then realize that I can't do this. And now I have spent all this time on this course that I could have been spending in other ways, right? So yeah, just keep that in mind. August 30th is the deadline to pay or defer your fees. Classes start in F and Y courses on September 7th, and September 20th is the last day to add courses. So even after term begins, you can make changes to your schedule if needed. So let's say you've added something, you go to the first day, and oh no, this is not for me. You can drop that class and you can add another class. I have a video. I don't know, do people want to see a video? It's like a 1-minute video on how to enroll on Acorn. Is that helpful? Yeah, I see one person. Yeah, just on YouTube. Yeah. Hopefully there's no ad. Yeah. So in this instance, this person is adding courses after course enrollment has begun. So it might look a little bit different because you're going to be doing this. Ideally, you do this in advance. So you have something called an enrollment cart in Acorn where you can add all the courses that you want to take. And then on course enrollment day, you just go and you click enroll. Question, do you have to enroll in every single course, or is there a button where you can click enroll in everything I've picked?
As far as I remember, you can't do one button to enroll in everything. It's, I want this course enroll, I want this course enroll.
But it'll be faster because it'll already be in your enrollment cart, so you won't be like going in, putting in the course code and picking the right lecture. It's just important that you do this in advance because it'll make the process way smoother for you. And so I think look here. So in this case, see how here this person. So here, this person has
Click the YouTube button, you'll be able to.
So see how it says add enrollment cart or enroll? If you're doing this before enrollment day, you won't see enroll. It'll be grayed out because enrollment hasn't started, but you can add it to your enrollment cart. And if you ever have an issue where you're like trying to add something to your enrollment cart and it's not working, and you think you've gone to the calendar or you've gone to the timetable and it looks like it should work, then email us, because all of these systems run based on, humans, and humans make mistakes. And sometimes, of course, has been coded wrong in the background and you should have access, but something technologically has to change in the background in order to give you access. Okay, so a little bit about sections, tutorials, and practicals. So lecture sections, they always start with an L. That's going to be every single course you take will have a lecture section. Some of them will have tutorial or practical components, which we talked about. The tutorials and practicals and labs, they always happen below the lecture series. So it's just important you scroll all the way to the bottom to make sure that you're not missing adding a tutorial, because again, Acorn is not smart enough. It's not going to tell you, oh, you missed adding your tutorial. Don't put yourself in a timetable conflict. The question about time. So daytime classes start 10 minutes past the hour. So if you signed up for a class, the Math 133, the one that I added to my schedule, it started at 9 a.m. Class actually starts at 9:10. So that's to give you time to get from wherever you're coming from on campus to that class. Evening classes after 5 always start on the hour. I don't know why it's like this. It was very confusing to me when I came to U of T, but
I
yeah.
was gonna ask, I've taken a few evening classes. Is this a new change?
This has always been in my presentation, but do they always start
It
10
might be
minutes?
a commerce thing.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
thinking-
gonna say, I was always told 10 after, even
Yeah.
after 5.
Oh, well,
Yeah, it might be a commerce thing. No, you could be right. You've been here longer than I.
Like so many people, like even for staff at meetings, people are like, okay, it's 10 minutes after, we're gonna get started.
It's true.
I'm like, starting at 10, what happened here? So it may just be like a practice that's so ingrained that professors just are always starting 10 minutes after. Yeah. No, it does not apply to, the question is, does this apply to exams? No, it does not. Yeah, just for lectures and tutorials. So this is a very old photo of a campus. And the reason why I'm showing you this is just to give you a sense, especially if you're not familiar with Toronto, how long it takes to get across campus. So we are up here, right here. This is the Innis building, IN. Let's say if you want to go from like here to here, you could probably do that in about 10 minutes. So anything from like one edge of a section to another, probably be about 10 minutes. If you have to go from here all the way to up here, you cannot do that in 10 minutes unless like, I don't even know what trains you could take to make that work. Yeah, what did you do? You had a bike. Okay, so if you have a bike, that would work.
And they have a lot of those bike share things around here. Yeah, yeah, there's one outside, right? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I see lots of people on scooter, but where? Yeah, it can be dangerous. So that's something to keep in mind when you're building your schedule. You just don't want to put yourself in a position where, you have 10 minutes to get from here all the way to over here. Like that's just going to be stress, 1 or 2 times a week whenever you have to go to that class. And again, you'll be able to find the location within the timetable filter. Waitlists are exactly like what they sound. It's a way for you to line up for the course. Tutorials and practicals don't have waitlists, so you can only add a tutorial or a practical once you're actually in the course. If you have added yourself to a waitlist, when a space becomes free, students are added automatically, like they are added to the course, and you'll see that you'll see your waitlist position and it'll change. So you'll see I'm at 50, I'm at 40, I'm at 10, etc. You will be emailed if you get enrolled from the waitlist. So it's important you check your email, but also monitor your Acorns so that, you don't want to be added to a course and then you don't realize that you've missed a week of classes and maybe you've missed an assessment or something like that. So it's important to keep an eye on that. Yeah,
So
question.
is the waitlist like purely FIFO or is there like priority for some people?
The question is the waitlist purely first in, first out? So generally, yes. But there are courses where the wait list, especially before a certain date, are assigned by stream.
Yeah.
And so if that is the case, it should show up in that enrollment control. if it does apply in this like kind of wonky way. And for those courses, I believe the wait lists are all merged after the priority list. And so then you would see your position potentially change dramatically. But generally it's first in, first out. You can also add yourself to the wait list for multiple sections of the same course. So if you're like, I really want this course, I don't care what time it is, there's 4 sections, I want to add myself to all of these sections, you can do that. But if you get into one of them, then you are no longer in the wait list for the other one. So if there's one, prof that you're like, no, I don't want to do that prof, or there's one time you're like, I don't want that time, then don't waitlist yourself to that course. You can waitlist up to 2.0 full credits, but the one thing to keep in mind is that they do count towards your course load limit. So, you can't waitlist a bunch of extra courses in order to see what you can get in. You'll be holding a spot from someone who potentially does want to get into that course. So there is a limit of what you can waitlist, and then eventually waitlists turn off. There is a very brief period in all terms whereby it's a total free for all, and so there's no wait lists, but enrollment still happens. And at that point, if it's something that you really want to take, you just got to keep logging into Acorn and refresh to see if you get lucky and someone drops the course at the right time and you're able to add it. So prerequisites and co-requisites, that will always show in the timetable builder. It'll tell you the courses that you're adding, if there's a prerequisite that you need to take, or a co-requisite is something you take at the same time. And an exclusion means if I've taken this already, I cannot take this. But these are not things that are checked by Acorn in real time. They're checked by human beings that work in the department. So even if you are able to add yourself to a course and you don't have the prerequisite and you're like, oh great, I'm in, I don't gotta worry about this. No, you could get removed from the course at any time. Maybe you get removed, maybe you don't, but that's the risk that you're going to run. And if you get removed, like after the term has started, then you're going to have to scramble to try to find something else. And again, Acorn does not tell you about timetable conflicts. So the normal course load for fall winter is 5.0 credits, so 2.5 per term. But the max weight you can do is 6. Yeah, we talked about this. So just a note on what it means to complete your registration. It is a multi-step process. So when you are enrolled, that's when you pick courses in July. So as soon as you pick courses, we consider you to be enrolled. You are considered to be registered once you enroll in courses and pay or defer your fees. So it's a 2-step process. You pick courses and you trigger registration through payment or through deferral. The deadline for the payment or deferral piece is August the 30th. If you are going to defer your fees because you have OSAP or another provincial loan program, you can do that on Acorn, or you could be paying your fees if you're just paying and that's how you're going to get registered. And the way you do that is you can pay your fees like a bill. So the easiest thing is just to add the bill to your online banking. Your account number is on your invoice. So it's a combination of your student number and your last name. So it's just important. Don't just use a student number. They won't get to the right place. You need to go to the invoice and it'll say what your account number is there. Your minimum payment to register will be on your invoice. It should be the full amount of your fall fees. It could also be your fall residence, depending on if you're in residence and when the residence gets added. And that will appear like mid-July for the fees at the very least. Okay, we're almost done, I swear. So for the first year, everyone pays the same amount in the Faculty of Arts and Science. But when you join Commerce, your fees are going to go up after first year because it is a deregulated fee program. So fees are always based on a program fee. Everyone is enrolled in the program fee structure. So program fees mean at 4.0 credits or more, you pay the program fee. If you are taking 3.5 or fewer credits, you can pay per course. But this is really dependent on when you add and drop courses. There are very early deadlines in the fall and the winter term to be eligible for this option. So if at this point you're like, I'm worried about money and I want to know what my options are, then you can always book an appointment with me this summer. I'm available other than like 2 weeks, end of July, beginning of August, but otherwise I'm available. We can meet on Teams, we can make a budget. I mean, the thing is, if you enroll in 3.5 or fewer, then you won't be able to request your program at the end of April. So probably most students here aren't going to be doing this, but if at any point you're just like not sure and you want to talk about it, then I'm here to do that. And another thing to note is once you're in Commerce in year 2, the threshold, this 3.5 threshold actually drops to 2.5 because it's a deregulated fee program. It just means that you don't have as much flexibility as a regular arts and science student, unfortunately. The fee schedule and refund schedules have not been posted, but I have put the link here. And so again, these slides will be available online and you should be able to get this by mid-July. And also, once you enroll in courses, your invoice should get updated with these amounts. One thing to note is if you are in residence, those fees often get added in August. So if you do see your fees in July and you make a payment and you're like, okay, good, I'm done. I paid all my fall fees. Just know, but you're in residence and you don't see the residence fees there, check back because they could get added in August and you still need to pay those fees because even though you're registered, service charges will start on unpaid fall balances by mid-October. So it's just important that if you're in residence, check your invoice. And if you're not sure what you're looking at, because these invoices are kind of confusing, then just email us and we can help you figure that out. So I have a whole bunch of resources here that I'm not going to talk about because they're in this presentation and you can check them later. But just know that these are all the links that you need. Again, just a plug, get involved, use your flag, get advising from you guys are in a really lucky position. You get advisors at Commerce and you get advisors here at Innis. And Rotman has a whole bunch of dedicated services for you guys. So they have their own career services center. They have a portal where you can book advising and career coaching appointments, sign up for events, leadership opportunities, etc. There's so many student life and student groups here on campus, a bunch of Commerce ones, a whole bunch of U of T ones. This last one is where all the official campus clubs live, their sports. Again, like, please make it a priority to make friends, okay? So some of you are gonna come in with friends, you're gonna be in res, it's gonna be easy. For some of you, it's not gonna be easy. And you need to treat building community like a course. So if that means you gotta go to some club of something that you're interested in, that's what I would recommend so that you meet people who like the same things that you like, and hopefully you can, find a friend in that way. I think that is a great place to start. And if you're ever looking for more suggestions, you can come to us and we can help you, or Student Life at Innis can also help you with that. This is my last slide. Okay, so these are some upcoming Rotman Commerce specific events. So I think the most important one I want to highlight is the June 28th one, Ready for Course Enrollment. That's happening this week. It's on Zoom at 11. You can register at that link. If you go to this Rotman Commerce startup website, you'll see all these resources as well. There's an Arrive Ready program that you'll be, I think, automatically added to in Quarkus. So Quarkus, see what resources are available there. And they have some prep to prepare you for principles of microeconomics. If you're interested in that, there's also a pump. It has to do with math. You all have calculus, so maybe you don't feel like that's not necessary, but just know that if you feel like you need extra math preparation, there is a program that you can do for free or through Arrive Ready, but you should sign up sooner than later. Yeah, question in the back.
If we're able to come for the 28th session, is there going to be a recording available? Because I know for the Arrive Ready ones they didn't have those.
So that's a good question. So I'm gonna just click here because this is something that's hosted by Commerce specifically, and let's just see if they say. So here's this session. I don't see that. It doesn't look like they specifically say. So that would be a question I would recommend you check with Commerce directly to see if they're going to record them. And you'll see here they have all these other. So there's another course enrollment basics and transfer credits. These sessions are meant to be Q&A. So I'm guessing this is going to be more like a presentation. And then all these other ones are like a chance for you to ask questions about these specific topics. Yeah. There's one other thing I wanted to just say about Timetable Builder. I forgot. You can save your timetable. So let's say you want to start to build it, and then you're like, this is a multi-day project, right? I got to come back to it. You can export it as a PDF. You can also get a shareable link. So if you're going to go back to your timetable, I recommend you do both, because if you get the shareable link, you can come back to the timetable and you don't have to start again from scratch. Okay. Okay, so I've talked a lot. Thank you so much for your patient listening and your great questions. I'm going to be at the lunch. And so if you guys have questions, whether it's about commerce or whether it's about finances, just know that I'm there. I'm also available all summer and happy to help you guys out. Okay. Okay, thank you.